great. 8 days. We wandered around all the touristy spots. We went up to Galilee. I floated in Lake Galilee, or swam in Lake Galilee. In the morning one day, we went to Jerusalem, up the Via Dolorosa, the road that Jesus is meant to have walked when he went to the cross. We went to Bethlehem, saw the place Jesus was supposed to have been born. We floated in the Dead Sea, which is very, very salty and not fun when you get it in your eyes. Did lots of cool things. I was 14 and there was a girl I liked on the trip, so I probably wasn't paying as much attention as I would have liked. I'd love to go back now. I'm a little bit different 30 years later. But one of the places that I went, or probably the place that had the biggest impact on me, was actually the day we went to the Garden of Gethsemane, the Mount of Olives. And you remember Jesus spent a bit of time there. And today here in New Zealand is what we call Maundy Thursday. It's traditionally the day we remember the night Jesus was arrested. Of course, Good Friday, the day we remember when he went to the cross, and Easter Sunday, the day we remember the resurrection. I don't want to get into the whole timeline stuff right now and which day was which, but that the significance for me as a 14-year-old boy stood in Israel, stood in the Garden of Gethsemane that day that I was there. It hit me pretty hard that I'm actually where Jesus stood. And I remember, of all the silliness and not really taking things seriously, being with my school friends, that was a moment that really did hit me hard. Now, I'm in a beautiful kiwi fruit orchard, not quite the same as the Mount of Olives, although it's probably green as well. The significance of being there hit me, made me think of that night, what actually occurred. Jesus was there. He'd already had his friends that were supposed to be looking after him, praying for him, watching to keep him safe while he was praying that night. And then, of course, they fell asleep. And then he comes back and ultimately is arrested. His friend, Judas, comes and kisses him on the cheek in that act of betrayal. The whole world uses the word Judas to talk about betrayal. It's interesting. But when the delegation that came, they said to Jesus, or he said to them, "Who is it you're wanting?" And they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." Now in my NIV, it says that Jesus replied, "I am he." It says, "I am he." And they fell back. In fact, I'll read it for you from John's Gospel. Jesus, knowing all that was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "I am he," Jesus said, and Judas the traitor was standing there with them. When Jesus said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. What's cool is what Jesus actually says is ego eimi, which is the Greek for I am. There's no he in what Jesus says. It's translated as I am he, but Jesus says something pretty significant. He says, "I am." And they drew back and fell to the ground. I wonder why. God in the man speaks boldly, declares who he is in front of these people, and they fall to the ground because Jesus is God. That night, all those years ago, when so much happened on that day, on that Thursday or whatever day it was, that night before, the denial, Jesus predicts the denial by Peter, and that's when it happens, that night, that evening. They have the Last Supper, of course. Jesus washes the disciples' feet. Two of the I ams, the I am the way, the truth, and the life, that's that day. I am the vine, and you are the branches, that's that same day. A lot happened. And his friends abandoning him after he was arrested, Peter actually denying him, and then that amazing moment where after Peter denies Jesus the third time, Jesus looks and stares him right in the eye, and Peter is heartbroken because of what he's done. The deep remorse, you can imagine. All along he's been saying, "I'm the one that's never going to let you down. I'm going to be there with you. I'll die with you." And Jesus, just to humble him, well, part of that, the reason I'm sure, no, actually you're going to deny me 3 times before the rooster crows. And when that happened and he sees Jesus, he must have been devastated. But I think he was also quite excited, because in that moment he realized Jesus called it exactly as it happened. He denied him. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, and then the rooster crowed. How could Jesus know that? Because, as Jesus put it himself, ego eimi, I am. Like Moses, when he was stood in front of the flame, the bush that was on fire in Exodus, and he says, who shall I say sent me to God? And God's voice booms out, I am that I am. Tell them that I am sent you. God was present with Moses then, and Isaiah prophesies that God with us, Emmanuel, will come, and Jesus was with us as God. Well, now we have Christ in us, because that night Jesus was prepared to put himself into the hands of man for the first time ever. And then man did what man does, and was corrupt and wicked and evil, and brutally beat, tortured and murdered our Lord. The worst thing that could ever happen. But of course the next day he went to the cross, the culmination of that tragedy. But of course it wasn't really, was it? Because of what he did. Look forward to talking to you on Sunday morning. We're going to try a Facebook Live. I hope that works. We'll see. But that's all for now. I hope you enjoy the next couple of days. Spend some time on Friday thinking through and praying through perhaps what actually happened on that day. All the Gospels record Jesus' crucifixion and his death. Look at what he said and what was going on, and maybe make some notes and discuss it with somebody that you know. But I hope you have a great, good Friday and Saturday, and I look forward to chatting with you on Sunday.